I heard these guys say something about Dallas Goedert, but I also want to start it with this. Let's bring our guy Zander on here.
What's up, Big Sales?
By the way, you're killing it with that show.
What's that, brother?
You're killing it with that show in the morning.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. What's up, everybody in the chat? How's everybody doing?
Let me ask you this. You think there's too much noise around the team this offseason?
No, I think a lot of it is. I mean, I think there's noise. I think there's probably more noise than other organizations, but I don't think. I think a lot of that is a product of the collapse last year. But look, it's a new season. I think we're ready to move forward. And I think it goes back to that. I don't think it's a problem, and I think it's fair to talk about it all. But I don't think there's too much noise. Is my mic loud, Big Sales?
No, you're good.
All right, somebody said turn my mic down. No, I don't think it's a problem. I really don't. I mean, there is a lot of noise, but in a way, the Eagles like that. In a way, the Eagles are probably happy to be in the news, but none of it seems like it's catastrophic, if that makes sense. It kind of just seems like, all right, there's some things we can speculate. There's some things that maybe don't look great, but it's a wait and see thing, right? Like when they hit the field in September, we're going to know right away whether, it was an off season of nothing burgers or we're going to have a new coach next year. So, I'm waiting for the season, but I'm all good with it, brother.
What's the obsession with explosion plays with that team?
I think it goes to I think it's their entire philosophy, right? It goes to their defense too, because their entire defense is built on stopping explosive plays. So you can clearly see there's a philosophy in the organization that big plays offensively and stopping them defensively go a long way in winning football games. And in a way, they're right. A lot of data does support that, where if you can limit big plays and you can create big plays, you increase your chances at winning the football game. And so I don't have a problem with it. Where I have a problem with it is I think they went too far with it. Like, I don't think you need to die on the hill of creating big plays. Like, that's where I'm like, Jalen, don't be afraid to take the dump off every once in a while. Don't be afraid to take the 5 yards. Don't be afraid to hit the guy across the middle. And that's where I think Brady was so good. Not to compare Jalen to Brady, but just speaking about somebody who had major right. Speaking about somebody who had major success, I think that would help our football team. I think that would help our offense. And explosive plays are good. You have AJ Brown, right? I mean, you have Devontae Smith. You have explosive players. Jalen Hurts is an explosive player, but I don't want them to go so far to that it looked like it did at the end of last year, where it became predictable. It became easy to cover, and ultimately, the offense came to a stalemate because of it.
I don't think explosion plays win Super Bowls. Because I'll tell you what, the last couple Super Bowl teams that have won it have not been explosion plays. Now, I will give the Rams a little bit more because he does like to get the ball down the field plus 15. So, if anything, McVay is probably that guy in the last 10 years. But I wouldn't consider Kansas City an explosion offense, would you? I can't even name their wideouts.
No, I wouldn't consider them an explosion offense, but I would consider them capable of the explosive play, right? I mean, they're able.
They don't have explosive players.
They have Patrick Mahomes, Dan.
Okay. They don't have AJ Brown, like you mentioned, and Devontae Smith. They have Kelsey, which is, hey, dude, Kelsey will go down as one of the top 3 pass-catching tight ends in pro football history. That's a thing.
Yeah, and if he didn't have Patrick Mahomes, he would not have that title.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a thing.
Look, I don't have a problem with explosive plays. I don't want to make the offense suck because all you care about is getting them. I think there's a time and a place for them, right? I mean, dink and dunk, there's a time and place for that too, but you can't do it forever. So I think there's a balance. That seems to be an emerging theme too right now for me in the offseason is balance, right? I mean, a lot of people are talking about how we're going to use Saquon, how we're going to use Jalen. Are we going to turn Jalen into something he's not? Are we going to, try and create Brock Purdy out of him? I think it's a balance, It's all about a balance. That's all Kellen Moore has to do is create a balance on the offense where you're using A.J. Brown the right amount. You're using short throws the right amount. You're passing out of the backfield the right amount. Jalen Hurts is running the ball the right amount. I don't want to go too far one way or too far the other way. I think a balanced offense would be a great approach for this team, and let the playmakers make plays, man. Like, you almost don't need to overthink this. You have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, and a top 5 O-line. Let that thing go to work, Let the cookie fall where it may, and I think it'll work out.
Here's something that I heard you say this morning, and I think it was you, and John actually echoed it. I think when you guys, I think we're talking Big Bill.
Yeah, he was great today, Dan. He was great today.
He was good. He was good. I'll say this to you. So you guys both agreed. I think you said, "Look, I want Kellen Moore to create an offense that fits Jalen Hurts' skill set, right? Right?
Yeah,
that's what you're hoping." Sean McVay never changed his skill set and how he approaches. You know what he did? Zander, you know what he said? No, I need a different quarterback in here from Jared Goff to help me get our team across the finish line to play my system. He didn't change. You think Kyle Shanahan tried to change with Trey Lance when he realized that was a disaster? He went back to his comfort zone. You know what that was? Drop back quarterback. So those guys failed. Those guys did not change the way that they play call and their playbook. They went and got personnel that fit that play calling system. So in those organizations, the McVays and the Kyle Shanahans are more of a priority than the quarterback in so many ways, because those are the guys that are going to get them across the finish line. My point to you is, so you are saying this, Kellen Moore has got to change his entirety on how he builds an offense and how he play calls for Jalen Hurts. It's a brand new guy. What's the difference between him and Brian Johnson? Because he's been a coordinator for 5 years? True. Yes, no question. However, he's doing something brand new here, Zander, and building something brand new for a quarterback in a style he's never been on the same page with.
I see what you're getting at. I think there's more context there than you're lending out for the sake of the argument, which I understand. Jared Goff has turned into a tremendous quarterback for a team that has built around him. So Sean McVay didn't want him to be his quarterback, but that doesn't mean that the other decision would have worked. It worked for Sean, but it also worked for Goff. So, like,
he did get his Super Bowl the way he wanted it.
Well, he did, but my point is that Goff has gone on to be successful. Now, it wasn't exactly what Sean wanted, and Sean had the ability, luckily for him, he had say in the organization to be like, hey, I don't want this guy, and they were able to make a move and go and get him. I don't think that's what the Eagles want. I hope they don't want that, because why would you pay Jalen Hurts if that's what you want? They're not going to be more loyal to Kellen Moore than they are going to be to Jalen Hurts, and nor should they be. I mean, with talking about McVay, they traded him before he got the contract.
Well, I would tell you this, Sean McVay.
Did he get the contract out there?
What?
Wait, did he get it? He did get an extension in LA, didn't he?
Oh, yes.
Goff. And then they traded him after.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That was more like a Wentz deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying.
Well, remember this. I think the Rams, that would you agree? The Rams value Sean McVay more than they value Stafford.
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you think that they value Kyle Shanahan more in San Francisco than they do Purdy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
The clock is ticking though on him.
Yo, who? Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I do. Because you know why?
Should be,
but the money window's closing in on him. The money window.
Yeah, right. You're already seeing it with the Ayuk stuff, and
today they're meeting.
Here's the problem. Like, I'm not a Purdy hater. I think a lot of people are too hard on Purdy. But here's where I get into territory of, like, how much you going to pay Brock Purdy?
60.
See,
he just played Trevor Lawrence 55.
I know I can win with Brock Purdy, and I like the guy. I am not a hater of Brock Purdy like many others are. But boy, I ain't giving him $60 million. To me, it's a Baker Mayfield deal or a Daniel Jones deal.
Would you give Trevor Lawrence $55 million?
No, but at least I can understand like the player he hasn't lived up to it, but he has this, and maybe it's just narrative and it's just perception. But he
First pick
does
overall.
this upside that everybody's been dreaming about. Trevor Lawrence, he's this big, tall guy
I
with
keep
this
calling
huge
it too.
arm. Like that's where I think that's gotten conflated with him. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not ready to make that declaration. But Brock Purdy, I just don't see that with. I think you can win with him, but he's a guy that needs to be elevated. He needs the roster probably, and he's not an elevator. So we'll see what they end up doing with him. But it's an interesting point about the whole trading the quarterback that you don't want thing. I get it, but what's your point? Like, you think the Eagles are looking to go that direction?
No. I'm just no. What I'm saying is that you already know this. June 25th, and I know you're going to hate this comment, but on June 25th, Jalen Hurts has a new coordinator. June 25th, 2025. He has a new coordinator. You already know it right now. You know it right now, Zander. He has a new coordinator. What?
I don't think that's true.
Okay, what? Okay, so if he wins, he's getting a job.
Yeah, but
if he loses, you're firing him.
Okay, let me ask this. Is my internet okay, right? You can hear me?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay. All right, someone just told me it's not. Why didn't Kellen Moore get hired as a head coach after the Dallas had the #1 ranked offense in the league with him as the coordinator?
I don't know.
So why are you so sure? Why are you so sure? He
interviewed for the Eagle job.
I know he didn't. He didn't get it. He's now been through several hiring cycles of head coaching where he didn't get it.
Here's why he'll get one now. Because if Jalen Hurts was a MVP candidate last year even and the year before, he puts that team in the NFC title game, he will get a head coaching job.
I'm not ready to say that.
He would have been credited with turning around Hurts.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's guaranteed to get a head coaching job. Especially if he goes to the Super Bowl, if they go to the Super Bowl, yeah, I think you're going to have a Shane Steichen situation. But I'm not going to complain because we made it back to the Super Bowl.
What do you think the odds are that the next year this time there's a new coordinator on offense in Philly when you've had 4 already in the last 3 years?
I'd say like 35%.
You've changed coordinators out every year just about.
That's not true. Not every year. Shane Steichen had 2 years.
Hold on. Here's how many coordinators he's had. Nick, Shane, Brian, and now Kellen. That's 4 in 3 years.
Yeah, but 2 of them were both within a season. Okay. And then Shane had reigns for 2 years.
Year and a half.
The second year is when it really started going with Shane.
Doesn't that tell you something, too, that the first time that they got it rolling with Shane, they had some patience with Shane?
That's not really true, actually.
Actually, they did. They brought him back because he was a coordinator the following year.
Yeah, but here's what you're leaving out. The Eagles were 2-5 when Shane took over.
Okay. And when they saw it rolling, like I said, they brought it back and they won 14 games with him. They, in theory, gave that guy more time and more autonomy to get that offense rolling. Will they give Kellen Moore that?
I think they should. How many weeks is it going to take Kellen Moore to get up to speed?
9.
I think it'll be quicker than 9.
Why? It wasn't a year ago. You have the same talent. Zander, that's funny because I hear you and John say this. You had 11 wins. You had all these guys have all these great years last year. What's going to be different this year?
You got more experienced coordinators. Brian Johnson has never called a down in the NFL before last season. Kellen Moore has been responsible for the #1 ranked offense in the NFL.
And has been fired 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's a bad look. But my point is that he's done it. So it is a different situation than Brian Johnson is or was.
Okay. You want to play a game? I want to play a game with you here because I want to get your perspective because these people didn't like my takes on this. And by the way, I liked what you guys did today, so I expanded it a little bit. I'm not going down and trying to pick out wins and losses with the upcoming 24. I'm asking you who has the better coaches going into these matchups and who has the advantage because, as you just been saying here, coaching matters, right?
Yeah, it matters. I think players matter more, but I think coaching matters for sure.
Okay. So let's do this. Hurts, Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore, and Nick Sirianni. In your opinion, Green Bay, September 6th, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur calls the plays, and Jeff Hafley, the D coordinator in Green Bay. Who would you give the advantage in that game to, coaching wise and quarterback wise?
I think Green Bay. I think Matt LaFleur is a better offensive mind than Kellen Moore is. And that was proven when Jordan Love took over the reins, and everybody said,
proved
"Oh,
me wrong."
Was it Aaron Rodgers? Aaron
Right.
Rodgers leaves, and he turns Jordan Love already into a perennial player who looks like he could be a really good quarterback in this league. So obviously, it's got to go for another season. But I think Matt LaFleur is a really good play caller. I'll go with the Packers there. Not defensively though. We're not talking defense though right now, right? We're talking offense.
No, we're talking coaching staffs and all.
Yeah, well, their defensive coordinator, I don't like him.
Hey, the threesome. I don't really know who the hell he is. Okay,
I don't either. He's a college guy. It was a weird
Ohio State guy.
Yeah, college dude.
Yeah, he coached at Ohio State. Was there in 19? They won a national title, what have you. But I don't know always if that translates. So let's go to the Atlanta game. This is Monday night, by the way. Kirk Cousins, Raheem Morris, Super Bowl DC, and Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator. Who has the advantage here, Eagles or Falcons?
Definitely the Eagles here. First year head coach, right, from Raheem?
Yeah, no, this is second time.
Second year? Yeah.
He coached in Tampa years ago. Now this is a second opportunity to
be
a head coach.
It's a first year in Atlanta. No, I'm not giving that.
First year in Atlanta.
The only thing I'll say about their coaching staff is that they're a defensive-minded coaching staff, and some of those guys have been able to lock Jalen Hurts' offense up. I think of Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay often. I mean, those two playoff games was when you could actually argue the two playoff games in Tampa Bay were the two worst games of Jalen Hurts' career.
Yeah.
As a pro. You really could. Now, I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying you could make the argument those were his two worst games. And that's because Todd Bowles, really knows how to lock him down. And so there's a major credit to him for that, for sure. But overall, I don't think back to the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons have a better staff than the Eagles. No way.
And quarterback too. No, I don't either. I think the Eagles have the advantage here. Okay.
Yeah, good.
New Orleans. Derek Carr, Dallas Allen has done a nice job defensively. I just don't think anything of him as a head coach. And they got a brand new kid in there, and he's a young kid. He's Gary Kubiak's son. It's Clint Kubiak. He's the new offensive coordinator. So Derek Carr, Dennis Allen, Clint Kubiak, quarterback coach advantage goes to who here? Eagles or New Orleans?
Eagles. Definitely Eagles. Yeah. I mean, are you a Dennis Allen guy? I'm not a Dennis Allen guy.
I like Dennis Allen as a defensive guy. I'd like to have him as a coordinator, but as a head coach, no way.
Yep, I'm with you on that. I'll take the Eagles in that all day.
How about this one? This is going to be interesting. Baker Mayfield, Todd Bowles, who's 2-1 versus the Eagles, and Liam Cohen, who was a hire by Bruce Arians. He was, according to Jason Light, this was a hand-picked all OC. So he's got a lot of Bruce Arians in him. Who do you give the advantage to, quarterback and coaching staff wise? Do you give it to the Bucks or the Eagles here?
I'm going to go the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. I think I'll give Todd Bowles the advantage over Nick Sirianni. I think just because of just for a matchup. I don't even know if Todd's a better head coach, but I mean, for this type of matchup, I think Todd is better suited in this type of a game where you need a defensive guy that can lock up our offense and all those playmakers. But I think we have the better quarterback, and I think we have the better offensive coordinator. I don't know what he's done a good job down there. Wait, did they get a new offensive coordinator? The Panthers.
Yeah, the guy's name is Liam.
Yeah, right.
Liam Cohen.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles there because of those two guys. The coordinator and the quarterback I'll give to the Eagles, and then head coach I'll give to the Bucks.
Baker Mayfield has really turned his career around down there.
Yeah, he has.
This is going to be.
I always thought Baker was going to be all right, to be honest. I really did. I never thought he was a bad quarterback, and I thought.
But I never thought the number one pick.
No, I didn't either. But that was a weird draft, wasn't it?
It
There was
was.
that was the Josh Rosen draft, and the Josh Allen went in that draft, didn't he?
I know.
And I mean, that was a weird draft. There was a weird pre-draft process that led to Baker Mayfield being the #1 pick. But I never thought he was bad. And to be honest, I think he's too harshly criticized for what he was able to do in Cleveland. Cleveland was a awful organization.
And he took him to the playoffs.
And I get it. He didn't bring them to where they wanted to, where, they wanted him to bring them. But I thought I thought that whole thing burnt down too quickly. And I didn't think they gave him enough credit. I mean, he brought them to the playoffs. Like you said, they were the Browns before that, dude. They were like, how many starting quarterbacks were on the hamster wheel with them? Remember before 28. They got Baker? So many. And I thought he did a good job. So
how about this one? Speaking of Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski, and Jim Schwartz, who has the advantage in quarterback coaching, the Cleveland Browns?
Who's their OC?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Who's their offensive coordinator?
Kevin Stefanski.
No, well, he's their head coach.
He called plays. He's a play caller.
Okay. I think I'd go Cleveland here.
Yeah.
I like Stefanski better. I like Jim Schwartz. I'm a Jim Schwartz guy. I think I'll go Cleveland here. By the way, right now, would you take Jalen Hurts or Deshaun Watson? Right now, June 25th, 24.
It's kind of a little bit like the Trevor Lawrence thing. You look at the kid and you go, you saw glimpses of it a year ago, but then you do this. That's not Houston.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm picking Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry, and I was one of the people. I wasn't on air at the time, so most of the people don't know. But I was behind the scenes, one of the people that was all for the Eagles trading what they needed to trade to acquire Deshaun Watson. I've been proven to be completely wrong. I don't know what it is, but right now I'll take Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson all day.
I'm giving this thing one more year with him.
With Watson? That's fair.
Yeah, with Watson.
What he can do. If he can't do it this year, it's time to sink it.
That deal would be worse, in my opinion, than the Russell Wilson deal, because the money's guaranteed and you gave up draft picks. And look at what Houston is doing with those draft picks.
We said this on Birds 365 this morning. That was the greatest thing that ever happened to that organization. Look at what they turned that Deshaun Watson deal into. That GM down in Houston, he deserves a round of applause. That Nick Caserio, he has done a tremendous job with that. If you look through that entire roster, it's not just offense. Their defense is stacked. They got players all over the field. That guy has done a really good job, and a lot of it came from the Deshaun Watson trade. So really good job by them by turning that negative situation into a major positive.
Do you know where Nick was the last decade and a half?
Nick Sirianni?
No, Caserio.
No,
you know where he was?
No.
New England.
Mm.
He was in the front office in New England after Scott Pioli left, and he started doing a lot of the personnel moves, free agency, and all that stuff for Belichick. And here again goes when you, like John McMullen was talking, when you're good, you get cherry picked. Well, look at what Houston's doing down there with a guy who knew what he was doing up in New England. New England might have the worst roster in the league this year. There's no doubt. I go Cleveland here. This is going to be an interesting one too, but I don't think it's really I think it's a no-brainer. The Giants, Daniel Jones, Brian Dable, and Shane Bowen is the DC. As we know, Brian Dable's the play caller. Who has the advantage, Giants or Eagles in this one?
Eagles. Definitely Eagles. I do not. It's funny because I thought I was concerned about the Giants getting good with Brian Dable after that first year when he won Coach of the Year and all those things. Doesn't look like he's managed the ship well since then. And maybe I don't know if it got to his head or what, but he's fighting with Wink Martindale last year. The whole thing looks a little bit goofy. They also signed Daniel Jones. Like, well, why did they do that? I don't care because I'm happy.
Sign was dumb.
They did a lot. And who was the receiver? Kenny Galladay they signed for like $80 million.
He didn't a train wreck.
Yeah, he paid, he barely played games down there. So that's been a train wreck. Definitely advantage Eagles on them for sure.
Cincinnati, Burrow, Zach Taylor, and Lou Anarumo.
Well, Burrow is obviously the advantage there for them, and maybe he
Well, Zach's
overtakes.
been to 2 AFC title games too.
Yeah, what do you make of him?
Great
Curious your
question.
perspective. Yeah, I'm curious
Great
your perspective.
question. I really think he did a great job last year with Jake Browning. Got Jake Browning a contract extension. Did Cincinnati? No, they didn't make the playoffs. They missed it. They missed the playoffs last year, but Jake Browning kid got a contract extension. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he got a contract extension. Dude, Burrow standing up, it's not close. It's Cincinnati over the Eagles. The head coach is a play call.
You think the Burrow gap makes up for the rest?
Everything.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair because the quarterback's the
And
most
I think they're
important guy.
better defensively. They
Yeah,
got better talent. That Hendrickson kid's a great edge rusher. Their linebackers are good.
I'm not ready to go that far though. I don't think the Bengals
Bro,
are
where in Philadelphia do you have an advantage anywhere on defense?
the defensive line. I think still.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you can't say it's an advantage yet, but
You're not better than New York.
no, New York's defensive line is nasty good.
That's about the only thing New York has.
I mean, yeah, we just shit on the Giants. Let me quickly,
I know.
let me
That's
quickly and quietly give them their flowers. That defensive line in New York is nasty, really good.
So you
Although I don't know about
you got
Trayvon.
Birds and Dexter Lawrence, and you got Thibodeau.
Yeah. You think
Okay.
has Thibodeau been good for you, or has he been a little bit of a letdown? I think he's teetering the line. I think he still has some stuff to prove, though.
How about I'll say this to you. I think he's been more productive in his time so far since he got from Oregon to the Giants. I think he's better than Chase Young was in Washington.
Yeah, Chase Young was, talk about a letdown. He was a major letdown. And then he went to where is he this year, by the way? The Saints. That's right. They signed
the Saints
him.
signed him.
That's right. Because he was in San Francisco he got traded there. Yeah.
I thought he had a great playoff too. I thought he played great in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he was the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, but you're talking about a guy he was supposed to be a game wrecker.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a Myles Garrett. He was supposed to be next level.
He was better than Michael Parsons was.
No, he wasn't.
No. His rookie year, he was better than anything I've seen with Parsons. Dude, he had like 10 sacks his rookie year. He was killing teams, and then he hurt his knee. Dude, I'm telling you, you couldn't run at him either. He's a better run defender. Michael Parsons is not a good run defender.
Yeah, that's fair.
John McMullen is all over him like he's Lawrence Taylor. I'm like, come on, guy. You kidding me?
Dude, there's more Eagle fans that are on Micah than you would think. I got bashed that day in the comments. And all I said was I didn't think he was generational. I think Micah's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great football player. I don't think he's a generational talent. When I look at him, I don't see a guy that you're going to talk about in 50, 60 years from now as like, do you remember when that guy played football?
You think he's TJ Watt?
I don't even think he's TJ Watt.
No way.
John told me I was crazy for that. And I'm like,
he's not TJ Watt.
Am I crazy?
You think he's Khalil Mack? Khalil Mack had 17 sacks last year.
Shit.
I mean, Von Miller? Von Miller was a Super Bowl MVP.
Von Miller, he was amazing when he was a Super Bowl MVP. That was awesome when they won the Super Bowl, and I think he got the MVP. Yeah, he got the MVP. That was tremendous. But he's not that guy anymore. But he still was an amazing player.
No, but he's going to Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I like Micah, but I'm not. Like I said, I think he's a great player. I don't think he's a generational player. That's all.
Okay, here's one. I can't wait to hear this one out of Zander. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, Ryan Nielsen, the hiring coach of the offseason, and Press Taylor's still on that staff with
Press
the
Taylor
Jag.
thinks out loud. Doug Peterson needs to move on him from. But Dan, this is what I'll do. What am I holding up? I'll use my coffee cup.
What? I don't know. What are you doing?
I'm holding up the trophy, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm taking Doug Peterson. I'll take Doug Peterson all day. I love Doug Peterson. I'm gonna go Doug on that one, man. I'm biased. I'm all right with that. I'm biased to Doug Peterson. He was my favorite Eagles coach. I love Doug Peterson. I also met him. Great dude in person. Really nice guy. Football guy, man. He is a football guy. He's didn't want to cater to the Eagles organization and they moved on from him, but I'm never going to hold that against him because that's the kind of guy I am. I would never be able to have somebody tell me everything I needed to do to live my life, to be the coach of my team, especially after I raised the trophy for the first time ever in your franchise's history. Doug has balls. Charlie Swift says it there. And I'm going to take Doug Peterson in that one. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the quarterback. It just has to do with Doug.
If you were going to start your team right now with Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Hurts, who'd you start your team with?
I'll take Jalen. I think he's proven to be a better winner in the NFL. I think he's proven
with all the talent around him equal.
Oh, that's a different question. I mean, that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. If
builds your team around him doesn't mean plop him in. How do you think Trevor Lawrence would do with this offensive talent in Philly?
I think he would do good. But
okay.
I'm going to stick with.
Interesting question. So if you have a ready-made team, Jalen's your guy. But if you don't have a ready-made,
no. Here's what I'm going off of though. So you just for the context. I watched Jalen Hurts play like an MVP. I watched him lead our team to the Super Bowl. I watched him have one of the best passer ratings ever in Super Bowl history. I watched him be an exceptional quarterback when the lights were the brightest. I can't erase that from my memory. Do I have concerns about some Jalen Hurts? Yes. But I think Trevor Lawrence has had more than enough chances to elevate and to be a better quarterback, and I haven't seen it from him. And I think he needs that. I'm not saying I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback one day. I'm just saying right now, off what I've seen, I would take Jalen Hurts. I would feel more comfortable if I did a good job at building the team that Jalen Hurts would take me to the promised land over Trevor Lawrence.
Well, let me ask you this. If Nick Foles' one-time great performance in a Super Bowl was a one-of, how do you know that wasn't a one-of with Hurts too? Have you seen a performance since that Super Bowl where you thought he was exceptional?
No, but I thought he wasn't as bad last year as we're making it seem. I thought he turned the ball over far too much, and that exacerbates every problem in the NFL.
I had a problem with his attitude.
I did too, but that's another story, right? Like that's another.
Yep.
That's another conversation, and we can get into that. I mean, I'll talk about that right now because.
I'll tell you what y'all said about him on WIP in a minute.
Well, so I brought this up, and John kind of ripped into me for it because I'm like, I didn't like his attitude last year. I didn't like it in the playoff game when they lost. I wasn't a fan of the way it looked. You know, I'm not there. I don't know what he's saying to the team, but I can only analyze what I see on my TV. I didn't like it. John's like, yeah, but the year before he was the same way and everybody loved it because they were winning. So do you want the guy to change or, and you're going to choose when to love it and when to hate it based on the team's success? And my response is, well, I don't think every situation calls for you to be the same guy, right? Like I think when you're the quarterback of an NFL team, when you're the leader of a franchise, you have to be a different guy in different moments. I'm not asking you to change your character, to change who you are at your core, but I think you got to act different, right? Like if you're sinking and you're 1-7, you might need to light a different kind of fire than you lit when you were on a run to the Super Bowl. It might take a different version of you. And I think all of us know that. We all have a different version of ourselves. Big Sills, after Howie Roseman or the Eagles do something stupid, it's a different show than when the Eagles win the NFC title game and go to the Super Bowl. It's a different show. It takes a different Dan. You're still Dan Sileo, but it's a different version of you. And I think yeah, right. I think it required a different version of Hurts, and I don't think he was willing to go there. And I didn't like that element of it. But I do get the other side where it's like, that's who he is, win or lose. And it worked when it worked and everybody loved it. And then when it doesn't work, you knock him for it. So I get that conversation, but we'll see.
Okay. I'm going to stop here for a second because I'm going to add this into what you just said about leadership. Jaws went on WIP today. You know what he said? Someone asked him a question. Hey, what did you make of Jalen Hurts' comment about Nick Sirianni and how his response was? And Jaws, I'm going to paraphrase it, goes, I was very disappointed in his leadership skills. I was very disappointed in the fact that somebody teed something up for him and some of the stuff that I said that he should have said. Hey, man, this is great. Everyone's on the same page. We're doing all this together. Instead, he took the moment to bash the guy in a way. And he said that one thing that he has to work on incredibly to a point where it's got to be something that's he thinks about more than just thinking about playing ball. I happen to think that he's got a Caitlin Clark attitude. And what I mean by that is this: I just want to play ball. I don't care about any of that other stuff. And I think that's who he is, Xander. That's not a bad thing. But when you're paid $50 million and you're the face and somebody says something so fucking dumb, dude, it's a dumb burger thing, nothing, right?
Yeah.
But there you have Jaws going on WIP going and categorizing him as not a very good leader.
Yeah, I think Jaws is right, but here's the thing, because and we obviously kicked this around a lot last week when we kind of were talking about this, and you know, I am starting to think maybe that was a shot at the organizational structure and the philosophy from the quarterback. But on the other hand, I agree, right? Like, you're the quarterback, you're paid $55 million. Sometimes, even if you're not happy, you need to at least show the world that there's no problem there. And that's being a leader. And, you know, that might require hard conversations behind the scenes. But so I get it from that perspective, but I do wonder, like, is Jalen lashing out? And not lashing out, but you know what I mean? She's kind of slapping back like, hey man, this is dumb what you guys are doing. This is stupid. And I kind of got that vibe a little bit
and I think the Eagles got offended by it by snapping back at him going, no, the offense isn't brand new.
Ray Lester brings up a good point here. And this is kind of what you said about Caitlin Clark, right? Hurts fronting for the media and the fans isn't going to help them winning any more games. He keeps it 100. Ray, I agree, especially about the press conference comment. But if you go back to that season last year and you watch, I'm not talking about his comments. I'm not talking about what he said to John McMullen in the press room.
His attitude.
I'm talking about on the field. I'm talking about when they have 9 points on the board at halftime and you're sitting there at the end of the third quarter and you're sitting on the sideline like this. I didn't like that. That's what I'm talking about. Now, like I said, I wasn't out there. Maybe that isn't a problem, but I can only analyze it from my point of view. And I thought that didn't look great. And then when you add that to some of the conversation that's going on this offseason, I think it's fair for people to question what's going on there with leadership. Here's Brian. This is a perfect comment right there. It's called keeping things in house. Exactly, Brian. Like, there's a way to do this. And when you're the quarterback and you're paid like you are, you got to at least understand that. And maybe Jalen showed in that moment that, you know, he didn't fully understand that. Or if he did, he decided to go against that.
See, this is why I think they're more comfortable with Nick than Jalen right now.
Well, you said it earlier in the show. They're grooming Nick to be the perfect coach for them. Something Doug could have never have been.
No, that's why guys like Belichick and those guys, you're not going to hire Mike Vrabel and drop Mike Vrabel in there when Vrabel's going to turn around and look Howie and go like this. Hey, you can kiss my ass. Get out of here. That's not anything. Dude, he had such an opportunity to, and I hate the word lying, because all he had to do was just kind of like keep it amongst us. Hey, man, maybe I do have a problem. Maybe I vented my problems. Maybe I'm doing this. I'll tell you what I've noticed, and you can see it too. Just Google it. There are a ton of stories coming out. All of a sudden, Jalen Hurts is grabbing the reins of the offense. I mean, everything is now, they're making it so that, hey, Jalen is now that's not who he is, dude. He's never going to be that guy. So were you shocked Josh said that he needs to be a better leader?
Nah, Jaws is an old school guy, man. Jaws was, he came from a different era. Doesn't surprise me at all that he said that. I'm not going to criticize Jaws. I mean, actually, Jaws is a very good friend of me and my entire family, actually. So my whole family knows Jaws. We've golfed at a couple of his courses. He's a good guy, and that's not why I would criticize him if I felt
worked for him.
Yeah, exactly. We had they had a great relationship. I'm not mad at it. I mean, I get it. It's tough for me to disagree with it when I understand it. I understand where he's coming from when he says that.
Let me get back to this. Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, Mike Zimmer. Who has the coaching advantage and quarterback advantage in Dallas? Eagles or the Cowboys?
You got Dak. You got McCarthy. Who's the third one you said?
Mike Zimmer, Super Bowl
Yeah.
coach.
I don't know about Mike Zimmer, brother.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach, but the coaching in the NFL is not only about coaching.
Well, he has one thing Vic doesn't have, and that's a Super Bowl ring.
That's true. That's a good point. But he makes everybody hate him. That guy, Mike Zimmer.
He does.
He
Dude,
really does. He's a
tell you
stiff.
this.
He is a stiff dude, man.
Prepared,
Yeah.
you're not good. Hey, you know what? Hey, John Tortorella wears your ass out. Mike Zimmer, he is, he and Vic are a lot alike. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, they are. They're old school guys. They're old school defensive guys.
Alike. If you're not prepared to hear, if you ask one of those two coaches a question that you're not prepared to hear the answer that you may not like, you better be careful because you may hear something you may not want to hear.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, people are saying he's a great defensive mind. DFW, thanks for being there, brother. Yeah, no, he definitely is. He's definitely a good coach. I just worry about the, especially in Boston, or not Boston, especially in Dallas, there's a lot more there than just football. You and I both know that. Our buddy Mark Holmes knows that. DFW knows that. Who's the dude who's been crapping on me in here? The Dallas guy.
Ultra Cowboy.
One of these dudes in here. Well, I don't know his name.
He wasn't the Super Bowl DC. He was a defensive back coach. Okay. Thank you, Prince. Make sure we're keeping it. There you go, Prince. Thank you, buddy. Go ahead, Zander. Jesus Christ, this guy
Prince,
wears
love you, brother. Prince, appreciate the super chat, my man. Thank you, bro.
He's such a dick. I love him though.
Prince, you're the man, brother. You're the man, Prince.
Oh man.
No, I think I'll give the coaching advantage to the Eagles because I'm not sold on Mike McCarthy. I think he won a Super Bowl, so I'll give him that. But Nick Sirianni was right on the brink of it, and I like Jalen in this year because
no way.
Dak?
No way do the Eagles have a better staff and quarterback than the Cowboys. Now, look, people are going to go like this. Sills, who do you think has a better team? The Eagles. But that doesn't mean that you have a better coaching. Hey, you guys have been freaking telling me coaching matters.
You to pick the Cowboys. I'm an Eagles fan. You want me to pick the Cowboys? Fuck that.
He's 9-4 versus you.
Fuck McCarthy. Fuck Dak Prescott. Fuck them all. I don't care. I'm not picking the Cowboys.
Okay, fair enough, man.
Jesus, criminy.
Fair enough. Okay, here's this one. This is going to be kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to this one. Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, he's a DC head coach, and Kingsbury.
That's a good staff, actually. That's a good staff down there.
And the quarterback coach is Brian Johnson.
What do you think about Dan Quinn as a head coach?
Not the best.
As
a coordinator, I think he's risky.
I think he's a good coordinator. I think he makes good risk. I like him as a coordinator.
Look at what he did with Micah Parsons.
I do not like him as a head coach. I do not like him as a head coach. But I'll tell you what, I think I like Cliff Kingsbury with that guy, Jaden Daniels. Where's James Jones? James in the chat? Yeah, James Jones is in the chat. Our resident Commander fan. I like that quarterback, man. I think Jaden Daniels is a winner in this league. I think he's going to be a good player. And I think Cliff Kingsbury has a good chance to get it out of him. But I'm not going to go there yet. I got to see it with them, and I'm going to go Eagles here. Yeah.
I'll say this to you. Second year in a row, you could have hired an RPO coordinator to fit Jalen Hurts' skill set, and you didn't. Why? You could have hired Kingsbury, who's an RPO guy. He had Kyler Murray. He coached Patrick Mahomes. They had that offense at Texas Tech. I mean, why did he
wanted to move on from Jeff Stoutland?
That's not happening then.
Well, that's
a deal. That's a deal breaker for me too.
Me too. And so that's the answer to your question. Though there was only so many dudes out there when the Eagles were looking, and I thought I like Kellen Moore, man. Look, I get it. I get the knocks against him, but this is also one of the best teams he's ever going to be coaching. All he has to do is what we talked about earlier: create a little bit of balance on the offense, help Jalen Hurts at the line of scrimmage, help him become a better quarterback, and this offense is going to flourish. So I don't, just because Kellen Moore never called an RPO offense, like what does that mean? Okay. He never had an RPO quarterback.
Okay. So why wouldn't you hire a guy who that's his job? Like Shane Steichen. He
Shane
gets what
Steichen
Shane guess what Shane
Shane-
Steichen did. Shane Steichen
Shane
didn't go back.
Steichen never had an RPO quarterback before Jalen Hurts. Never.
Well, then why did he draft one?
Because he had Jalen Hurts and it worked.
Okay. Nick Sirianni was the play caller for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, and look at
That's why he failed at 2
go
and
and
5.
look at what Nick Sirianni's offense looked like with Phillip Rivers. Go and look at
They
it.
won 11 games.
It looked good. There was all sorts of hot routes and all sorts of reads.
What makes you think this guy's going to change his spots on his coat and turn into some sort of dude? Kyle Shanahan couldn't do it. These coordinators today don't change who they are; they change in personnel.
So you think Kellen Moore is going to come up to this team, look at this talent, look at everything that worked for this team in the last 2 years when they won 20-something ball games and went 27-2 in a certain stretch of games, and you think he's going to expunge that all and put Jalen Hurts in a play action under center offense? Is that what you think is going to happen, Sills?
I think they're going to do exactly what they did a year ago in the philosophy of what they want. They want explosion plays.
Man, he's not going to take Jalen Hurts.
They don't want the 22 runner.
No, they want a better version of both years. That's fine. He's not going to put. My point is, he's not going to come in.
That you're looking at something he's never done.
Yeah, but you're speculating on what he's going to do when he's here. He's never had a quarterback.
Because I'm looking around the league.
If Kellen Moore happened.
Every coordinator doesn't change. They change the quarterback. Look at, hey, Sean Payton's another great example. He gets up to Denver and he sees that guy, Russell Wilson, and he goes, I can't win with that. I need a new guy. They went off of a $279 million contract to get that guy out of the fucking building because he didn't want to coach that style of quarterback. They didn't want to make it work in Denver because he didn't want to make it work. Why didn't he change his way? Because he didn't want to.
So you think the Eagles organization is going to bow out on the guy that they paid because Kellen Moore isn't going to run an RPO?
I think they.
By the way, let me add in this. Kellen Moore is coming off 2 straight years of being fired. 2 straight years. If he comes in here and does what he wants and it doesn't work and he gets fired, you know what's going to happen to Kellen Moore's NFL career? It's going down the tubes, brother.
Yeah, him and Matt Patricia can go coach some high school somewhere.
He can go be a quarterback's coach somewhere. He's getting demoted. He's got an offense that's $175 million. If you think he's going to come in and think that it's his way or the highway over all these great players he has, well, shame on him. And I don't think that's going to happen.
If they throw the ball 37 times a game, that guy will have 20 picks this year.
Dan, let's see. Let's see.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go here. Rams, Stafford, McVay, Chris Shula. By the way, the last 3 coordinators that Sean McVay has hired have taken his Rams to the Super Bowl. Wade Phillips, Raheem Morris, and now this is a brand new hire. And yes, this is, I believe, David Shula's son. Don Shula's the grandfather. Matthew Stafford and McVay have won a Super Bowl together. Who has the advantage here?
The Rams. The Rams are a great coaching staff. Sean McVay is one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL. He is basically the pinnacle right now of what teams are looking for. Him, and I guess you could maybe throw Kyle Shanahan in there in terms of the play design and the offensive mind. So I'm going to go advantage Rams here. I think because of Sean McVay, that team has a chance to really be a contender this year. Maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're a sleeper. I think they're a wild card team. I think they're a sleeper in that division, and I think they're going to be a solid team.
I think it's got a lot to do with their defensive side of the football. If they can overcome the loss of Donald, then that's going to be a really big-time feel, especially also, too, let's not forget they also lost Jalen Ramsey. back
Yeah,
there
for
in their
sure.
secondary too. So I mean, I
Yeah,
know
let's
it's
go to
not
this
2
comment
years
real quick.
removed. What?
I want to go to this comment real quick, if you don't mind.
Good.
And back to what we just talked about with Kellen Moore. Dan Zender. I like that. Zender. I'm good with that. Shane Steichen changed the way he calls the offense for Jay Hurts, right?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. Yes,
No, he
he
didn't.
did.
RPO is not a play call. It's a decision making by the quarterback.
Yeah, but the offensive
The
coordinator.
quarterback, when he snaps the ball, it's a play for his decision making on to keep it, throw it, or run it. It's his call in a split second. It's predetermined pre-snap. That's
I know
why
that.
he's excelled so much. Because as a decision maker, dude, Jalen Hurts running that decision-making offense was methodical. He was a $50 million guy. There's no his decision-making in that RPO when he did that, and my God, those 30 and 3rd and 11s, when he would break that back at it, I was like, man, you can't defend that shit. Now, when you don't have that dynamic, now you have predetermined explosion plays. You're throwing to the numbers. They became predictable, like Boza said, and they were not the same mentality offensive approach that they were in 22. 22, the offense was more in Jalen's hands. 23, the offense was more in the coordinator's hands. Would you not agree?
Yeah, and which one worked better?
Okay. Why did you get away from it then?
Well, why are you so convinced that Kellen Moore has no interest in going back to that?
Because that's not who he is.
That's not who he's been, because the opportunity has never been there for him to be
so
that
now
guy.
he's got to reinvent himself, like you guys said today. I don't want to change Hurts. Kellen Moore has to change completely. Why didn't you hire somebody?
He doesn't have to change completely. He has to apply different principles in offense.
Okay.
He's a good offensive mind.
That's been fired 2 years in a row.
He's also responsible for the #1 ranked offense in Dallas.
Let's go on to Baltimore here. Lamar Jackson, Todd Monken, John Harbaugh, and Zach Orr. Now, I'll say this to you about Zach Orr. I don't know dick about him. However, do we agree? See, John said that there's coordinator changes. Yeah, okay, on defense, but they still got the same guys intact over there on offense.
Yeah.
So I would say this. Does Baltimore make pretty good hires?
Seems like they do. John Harbaugh really is like – John Harbaugh to me is in a way like the pinnacle of what Nick could be in terms of CEO
or
head
wants
coach.
to be.
Wants to be, right. A CEO head coach. Him, or I guess maybe you could say Mike Tomlin is a good one. But somebody like that. And Monken has done a great job there. Bob Brown, I think he's in here right now. Let me see if I can find him. Bob Brown had a really good comment this morning on – yeah, Bob's in here. Bob had a really good comment this morning on Birds 365 about they have really done the right thing there in terms of building the offense for the quarterback. They have not tried to change Lamar Jackson at all. And I do worry, and this goes back to the Kellen Moore commentary, that they're not doing that in Philadelphia. And because of that, I will give the Ravens the advantage here. I think they have a good coaching staff, good quarterback. I'm going to go with the Ravens here.
You know, you said something very interesting today about what Monken's done. I'd like Monken if Nick ever got fired, and if you're going to stay with Hurts.
Yeah.
I'd like Monken to be the head coach, play calling head coach.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
You said something. You go, it's funny. Monken, who got out of his skin in that AFC title game for whatever reason, that great coaching staff got hammered by Andy in that AFC title game.
Yeah.
They were just exposed. However, you said this, I didn't really see a lot more passing because Jalen's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. In my opinion,
sometimes
he's okay.
Lamar's
I think as a consistent guy, week to week, I'll take Jalen over him. Okay, I will. Now he's got better weapons on the perimeter.
Wait. Did you say you'll take Jalen over Lamar?
Passing.
Okay.
Not overall.
Okay. I'm not going to go there.
He's on the most he's ever thrown for us, 3,100 yards.
Yeah, but he's not. That doesn't tell the whole story.
As a passer.
That doesn't tell the whole story, though.
I'm not saying, I'm only telling you half the story
Yeah,
that I
okay.
think
All right, that's fair.
he's
All right.
a better passer.
All right, I'll agree to disagree. I would probably take Lamar.
By the way, who would I take? I've probably taken Lamar. Now, I'll tell you one thing that really did bug me wrong about him. You know, did he lay down for his team to get that contract 2 years ago? I mean, that was not a good look for him. Hey, I'm 95%. Hey, the last two quarters, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was 85% going into that Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes, you know, I mean, he went in there and played for his football team. I don't know.
Look, I am fully I'm fully with you in terms of I want to see these guys be willing to sacrifice. But you also, especially a guy like you who played in the NFL, who sacrificed their body, who knows what it takes. I don't really have a problem with a guy who was drafted 31st overall, who made a lot of money but didn't make generational money, and who plays the style that he plays. Like, if they didn't want him to do that, they could have given him that contract earlier, Sills. I'm okay because I understand the business and the human element to the game. These are professionals. This is not college football. He was playing like an MVP, and they didn't want to pay him. If he goes out there and he blows an ACL or he tears a knee up or ruptures his Achilles, you're talking about a lot of money, man, that he sacrificed for a team that wouldn't go out on a limb and show him. So from the business perspective, from the element of that, it's tough for me to knock Lamar. Got to be honest, man. Like, I think it was on the organization. Look at what the Eagles did for Jalen Hurts. They dumped the bag at his feet, man, before they even needed to. Lamar won an MVP, and they were still hesitant.
17.
So from that perspective, I don't want to beat the guy up for it too much. Now you get the bag. If you're going to sit out, now I have a problem with it. But before that, it's tough for me to criticize him. It really is.
How about this? Would you agree? Then maybe could you say the same thing about Saquon Barkley last year? You think he played 100% last year?
Yeah, but he was also the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft.
I'm just saying, do you think he kind of laid down a little bit because the team didn't have belief in him? They didn't want to give him any money. You think he sandbagged it? You think he sandbagged it a little bit?
I don't think he did, though. I mean, I think he probably could have more, you know, if at all. I mean, I don't think he did. I think it would be justifiable potentially from a business perspective to do it. But yeah, I thought they kind of toyed with him a little too much too. But at that point, he had made $12 million, even on the franchise tag. Like, we're talking about a $5 or $7 million contract that Lamar had. Remember, he was drafted 31st overall, 32nd overall, the last pick of the first round. I think his money was like $8 million or whatever it was over 4 years. You factor in taxes and all that bullshit. The guy's walking with a couple $1 million. That's great money. Don't get me wrong. I would take a couple $1 million. But you're talking about a guy that's playing MVP quarterback, which is a position that earns $50 million. That's the going rate. And they didn't want to give it to him. So I get it from that perspective. I think it's a little different scenario with Barkley.
Hey, Prince, if you'd like me to send this picture to you of Big Sills here playing against the Lions, you just let me know there, and I'll send that out there to you too there, man. If you'd like to have that, I'll send that out there to you, buddy. Right there, Big Sills playing against Kevin Glover. Right there you go, bro. Let me know when you want it, Prince. I'll send that baby to you there. All good. You know what? I'm not going to do Carolina because I think they have the massive advantage. Bryce Young, Dave Canales, who was the OC in Tampa. This one you and I talked about a little bit. Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Who I think is better served as a coordinator, but
okay, who do you think has the advantage, Pittsburgh or Philly?
I think I gotta go Pittsburgh here because of Mike Tomlin. Right? I mean, how can you pick a guy like Nick who's 3 or 4 years in the league? I don't think I can pick. Now, I will say I like Jalen Hurts a lot more than I like Russell Wilson at this point in his career. So
that could close the gap.
That could close the gap, but I'm going to go advantage Pittsburgh here.
Because of the way they – okay. So, here. This is what I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Of the 14 games, the opposing team is going to have the advantage in quarterback and coaching staff over the Eagles. How much does that play into your evaluation? And I would say this, probably 95%, the Eagles have the better talent like they did a year ago.
Oh, there you go. That's a big tell right
Well,
there.
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter that down the stretch last year. Yeah, it didn't. It did matter in 22, didn't it?
Whoa, we go again. 22. What's next? 1922? Jesus criminy. Man, you hang on that year like it is like
No, I don't.
you think the Bible was written in 2022. Holy cow, man. Mod on. This is crazy. How you remember? Hey, I heard John
the Bible was written in 200 AD. What are you talking about, Big Sills?
Not the way you Philly guys talk. Jalen Hurts is hey, who he is 22. I haven't seen that guy in 21 games.
That's not true.
Oh, when did you see that guy play 4 quarters of football like he did in Arizona?
Big Sills. He did beat Mahomes. They did beat Josh Allen. They did beat Tua and the high-powered Dolphins. They beat teams last year, man.
You keep saying, but then they fired the guy who helped beat him.
Well, yeah, because they collapsed down the stretch and he couldn't figure out how to fix it.
That's Brian Johnson's fault?
No, but he was their scapegoat.
Oh, so we fired a guy just to make ourselves feel good.
No, you fired a guy because you had to fire somebody, man.
That's always a great reason. Hey, guess what?
Oh, wait.
I gotta fire a guy.
Whoa. You go. Let me say. Dan Sileo is the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's play a little scenario here. You spend that much type of money on your roster, on your quarterback, and you collapse down the stretch like they did last year. You running it back with the same everything? I'll answer for you. No, you're not. I'll go back to your show on June 25th of 2023. Your off-season topics last year. And by the way, you're okay. That's fair. That's fair. I won't knock you for that. But I'm just saying, your off-season topics last year, which, by the way, you're completely vindicated for at this point in time, were that why the hell did they bring in inexperienced coordinators, especially on offense? You consistently said that all last offseason. It didn't work out. They went and got a more experienced guy this year. Let's see how it plays out. They didn't fire Nick because they knew it would have looked far too bad on the front office and the organization as a whole to fire another guy that went to the Super Bowl 2 years after he got there. After what happened to Doug Peterson 3 years after he won it. Not firing Nick was not as much about Nick as it was about the organization, about the owner.
Okay, well, again, what you've done, so you feel by hiring Kellen, is it more that he's being hired for in-game play calling or designing? As a matter of fact, I do like Sean Desai.
No, he did. He liked Sean Desai, but the one thing he questioned, and especially on offense, like I said, was that he didn't like the inexperience of the coordinators.
That's right.
You can like
by the way, Sean Desai is now on the coaching staff in Los Angeles.
Yeah, he's on the scrap heap a little bit, though. What's he doing over there? He's like some sort of defensive assistant.
Yeah. He's second in line to the defensive coordinator. And by the way, he'll get elevated to DC once that guy gets an opportunity, because if you look at it, Wade Phillips is coaching in the UFL, was just named the UFL Coach of the Year, and now Raheem just got a head coaching job. He's next in line. Sean McVay likes him.
Yeah, it's true.
I get this. Pete Carroll spoke highly of him, and so did Vic. That was
I don't have a problem with Sean Desai, man. Our team was 10-2.
You were 10-2 when you fired him.
And after that, we fell off the Grand Canyon. So off the Empire State Building, we fell like you wouldn't believe. So
what did Sean Desai do wrong? He beat Mahomes, he beat Allen, he beat Dak, he beat Stafford. What are you talking about, guy? Yeah, you demoted a guy and then you imploded your fucking team, LJ.
You did. It's tough to argue against that.
Do you get this? That whole thing, by firing him, imploded the team. So firing of Desai was a wrong move. So once again, I like the size hiring. Yes, I did. I didn't think he did anything wrong.
I don't think you like the Brian Johnson hiring. I'm not wrong on that. I'll go back and
I hated it.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
Yeah, because you know what everybody kept telling me? Oh, they're boys, they're this, they're that, they're da. And I'm like this. Okay, well, you know what's really funny about Brian Johnson? Brian Johnson won 11 games. Everyone had career years. And he got fired. Why? And what's going to be so different this year? I'll say one thing, then I'll give this, and I'll concede to you and John on this. The only difference that I say that Kellen Moore brings than what Brian Johnson is going to bring, because Brian Johnson was a first-year play caller. Well, this guy is going to be calling an offense, according to you guys, that kind of looks a little bit like 22 and 23. I don't believe that, but we'll see. You're right. I have to see it play out. The only difference that I think he brings is in-game play calling and situational play calling that Brian was not. He was not experienced at. And it showed in certain – the Jets game was a great example of the lack of experience on third and what have you. I mean, some of the timeouts in the game too by Nick. I'll tell you something that Nick struggles from. His 2-minute drills going into halftime and his 2-minute drills going into the end of the game, he's not very good. A little Andy Reid in him a little bit at the beginning. Now, that's common with new coaches, though.
Yeah.
Guys waving their pom-poms this morning, boy, I'll tell you. Hey, I think this guy's going to come in here and he's going to be the next North Turner. I'm like, holy shit.
I'm not waving shit, man. What are you talking about?
All right, Zander, what's it? Kellen Moore can scheme guys open. That's the difference. He can scheme guys open. Well, dude, correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy who was your coordinator last year had career years for your wideouts last year. Did he not scheme them open too? You had one guy get 1,600 yards and the other guy 1,200. Did he not scheme them open?
It's true.
Yes, sir. One guy had 100 some odd catches. I guess he didn't scheme him open either. Holy cow.
I think Kellen's going to be good. I really do.
Kellen's. All right, dude. I appreciate. Hey, brother, where are we in the life?
Wait a second. Let's address this. JM, my man JM. What's up, JM? Guys are open. Hurts can't find them. I think that's a little bit of a problem that everybody's afraid to address right now, is that I'm not saying that Brian Johnson was that great. I'm not saying that it's all on Jalen Hurts, but I will say eventually we are going to have to force and expect our players
pre-game snap stuff.
Not even just Hurts. We got to expect our players to step up. Eventually that conversation needs to be had. I know many don't want to have it, and many want to just blame the coaches and blame the play calling and blame all that stuff. Eventually we got to have this conversation where, look, you could argue Jalen Hurts was the reason that Brian Johnson got fired. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying one could make the argument. A guy like Dan Sileo could make the argument. Breaking news, Wednesday's show. Jalen Hurts got Brian Johnson fired.
He did. Well, if Josh Allen got Ken Dorsey fired, Jalen got him fired. You can't have it both ways. Okay?
I'm just saying, Jalen missed a lot of guys that made them look a lot worse.
Real quick. Zander said something interesting before the show started, and I want to just do it just a little bit, not a lot of it. If you had to pick quarterback to start your team, Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts?
Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
Tagovailoa or Jalen?
I'm going to go Jalen on that one.
Aaron Rodgers?
Saban wouldn't agree, but I'll go Jalen.
Aaron Rodgers or Jalen Hurts?
For one season or for a career?
You're dissecting my question?
No, I'm just saying. I'm getting 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. If I need him for one season, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. But if I need him for 10 years, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts, obviously.
I'm probably doing Hurts, too.
I'll take Rodgers, though, for the year. I mean, shit.
Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts?
Lamar Jackson.
And I'm going to ask a question after this.
Okay, I see where
Deshaun Watson Or
Hurts. I'll take Jalen Hurts over Deshaun Watson.
Russell Wilson or Jalen
Jalen
Hurts?
Hurts.
Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts?
Joe Burrow.
CJ Stroud or
CJ
Jalen
Stroud.
Hurts?
CJ Stroud. I think he is the next superstar. He is the guy, and I know everybody's already high on him. He's going to be better than we're all thinking after that season. He is going to be the next Joe Burrow, Josh Allen conversation guy. He is going to be that good. That's my projection on CJ Stroud. I'll take CJ.
Trevor Lawrence, Jalen.
I'm going to go Jalen. I'm going to keep Jalen.
You think that's close?
I think it's very close. I think it's very close. You could argue Trevor Lawrence would be amazing in this offense.
He would be.
Yeah, he would be. So,
dude, Tyrod Taylor would be awesome in this offense. This is going to be an interesting one. Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson.
Hurts, man. What the hell has Anthony Richardson done?
I just say
be good, but like, come on, I'm not taking
Gardner Minshew make the Pro Bowl too. You know, there in Indianapolis last year.
Yeah,
he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jalen Hurts was an All-Pro in 22. I
won't do Mahomes. I won't do Mahomes. I won't do Bo. I'll put this one: Justin Herbert or Jalen Hurts.
Justin Herbert. Wait a second. Did you see that? The Vogue thing? Oh my goodness. Joe Burrow after the Vogue.
No.
He had his giddy. He had his back blown out on that suit, man. I'm like, hey Joe, I know you might have gotten paid, but that's one I maybe would have elected to not do, my friend.
What happened?
No, he walked on like a fashion show or whatever it was with Vogue, and he's wearing this goofy suit, and it's got no back to it. His whole back is out. I'm like,
I might have to take Jalen Hurts. I might have to take Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow.
Yeah, come on.
You have to have a pair of balls.
Yeah, come on, Joey B. I didn't like that either.
Yeah, you might have to have a pair of balls here. All right, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts.
Shit, I gotta go Dak, I think.
Yo!
No! Did I do it? Did I do it?
All right, hold on. Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts?
That's a tough one. I might have to. Oh.
I hate that I would say Goff. I do. But I look at the guy's resume. Haas, he's been to two conference title games with two different teams, and he's turned the freaking Lions around, something Stafford couldn't do. That's insane.
I think I got to go Goff, brother.
Me too. Dude, I thought he was a cup of ice chewer on the sidelines. I can't believe what he's done with his. Get this. He's actually, you could probably take Goff over Dak.
Yeah, you could. I would take Goff over Dak. The problem with Dak is the big game stuff, right? But I think as a football player, I think he's a very good quarterback. Probably better than most fans are willing to give him credit for.
Okay. Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts?
Shit, man. I'll go Jalen Hurts. on that.
Ah, you're a liar.
No, I'm not a liar. I think Jordan Love's going to be good. I like what he's going to be, but come on, Jalen Hurts is still good. I mean, it's not like
no.
So I'm going to take Jalen there. I'm going to take Jalen.
We're going to find out how good.
Right. We're going to find out how good he is in Sao Paulo.
Okay, how good he is. Okay, I'm not going to do that shit there. How about Caleb Williams?
Wait, what were you not going to do?
Well, I'm not going to go JJ McCarthy because I think he's JJ Tebow.
Yeah, we're not going there. Okay, Jalen.
No.
Who'd you have next?
Caleb Williams.
Jalen.
Okay. Baker Mayfield.
Jalen.
Derek Carr.
Jalen.
Kirk Cousins.
Jalen. Like Kirk, but I'm going Jalen.
Brock Purdy.
Jalen.
Based on what?
Based on that, I think Jalen Hurts is the better football player. I think Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback.
He hasn't done more.
Well, you could say that about a lot of players.
All right.
Wait a second. Josh Allen or Brock Purdy?
Josh Allen.
Okay, he hasn't done more.
He's a better talent.
Okay, that's how I feel about Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Thanks for proving my point.
Hey, don't play my game on me, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll taste your own medicine. Man.
Hey,
yeah.
Don't play my game on me, guy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts at this point.
Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Kyler Murray.
Jalen Hurts. I am not a Kyler Murray guy. Nothing about Kyler Murray strikes me as me wanting to go and take him to quarterback my football team. I'm sorry, but nothing. Not a Kyler Murray guy.
Hold on. No, here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Is that how many I picked over Jalen?
Yeah, you got Jalen ranked the 12th best quarterback in the league.
That's all right. I'm okay with that. That's about what I thought, to be honest. I thought we did this ranking a little bit ago. I think we did it on Birds, and I thought honestly my ranking was a little too high for him. I think I had him like 9 or 8. I think he's about 10 to 12. But we have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and he's proven that when the big game comes, he can elevate. So that's what I'm banking on. I think we can win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. I'm confident saying that. I feel good about having him. I'm a little concerned that they're not going to play to his strengths. But overall, I think that's right about where we're at with him. Let's go.
Can we make a comment like this about Hurts? He's probably a top 12 quarterback, but can play himself into the top 5.
Yeah, that's a great comment. When he's hot.
Can two things be true?
Absolutely, 2 things can be true. You know, that's a good – I think he's 12 based on, let's just say, talent.
Like Lamar can play – like Lamar can play himself out of the top 3.
Yeah, but Lamar, from a raw talent perspective, is as good as you're going to get. I mean, he is right there, I would say. I think it's – I would have 3 tiers, right, for this top 12. Mahomes is his own tier. He's his own tier. Then I would have Allen, Burrow, and Lamar in tier 2. And then I would put the next 8 in tier 3.
Here's what Pro Football Focus has the top 5 quarterbacks. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson 2. This is going into this year in the camp. Burrow 3, Allen 4, Herbert 5. I think they had Hurts at 8 or 9, if I'm not mistaken. And my top 5 quarterbacks are Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, and Herbert. So just a little bit different, but the same.
I think you're a little too high on Herbert. I get it. I get the talents there.
Dude, he had Brandon Staley. If coaching matters, this guy went for it on 4th down on their own 20 with a minute left in the game, and the only reason
with the way you talk about Nick Sirianni, can't you say the same thing about Jalen Hurts? He's got Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Wait, hit the super. I take Jalen over 90% of the guys because I would hire Steichen as my head coach. It's a good take, but he's in Indy now, man. That ship has sailed.
Daniel, you put even a guy like Kingsbury, dude, I can't believe he was such a dick on the whole Stoutland thing, because I think he'd have been a perfect hire. Dude, I heard they had a 3-year contract on the table for him, Cliff Kingsbury. And when he wanted to get rid of Stoutland and bring his own guys in, that's when the whole thing went south, and they said, no, that ain't happening. And that's a deal breaker too. It's a total deal breaker for me. All right, Zander, where are we in the like list, brother?
Let me see if I can get it real quick. Give me a second, bro.
Hey, by the way, we apologize. We're still trying to run down Gary Cobb. Gary must be still at this event. We'll work on him coming aboard here. I never thought about that with Jalen. Hey, Jalen.
120 on the like list.
120, guys. We're 80 away. I would say this to you, Zander. Jalen's in the top 12 talent-wise, but he could play himself like he did in the 22 into the top 3. Look at Lamar. Lamar is the top 12. Hey, is Lamar a top 12 talent, or is he a top 5 talent that can play himself into the top spot? But see, hey, how about this? If Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl, is he the best quarterback in the league?
No. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and it's not particularly close.
So if he wins multiple and he has 2 MVPs, Does he close that? Can he close that gap?
I don't see it.
You want to hear this, Zander? Finally, here. Let me throw this. I think the gap between Mahomes and the second guy is wider than it was between Brady and Manning.
Which is an insane comment, but it's true. That's exactly how I feel. I think Patrick Mahomes, like when Brady's career was ending, a lot of people are like, and I get it, are like, man, when are we going to see this again? Like, when are we going to see this level of quarterback play? We're seeing it already. It didn't even take a year gap. Mahomes was already in the league. He's that good. Mahomes has a chance to be the best quarterback to ever play the game. A good chance. Depending on how long Andy stays, Mahomes has a great chance.
Mike Golick just he must have CTE because I did ask him. Sorry, man, I had my charity golf tournament this past weekend, was very busy. Hey, maybe we might be getting Mike Golick on tomorrow.
That'd be great. Mike's great.
So we're at 120. All right, guys, let's see if we can get it up. Zander. By the way, you guys, no disrespect to anybody, like Harry and them guys, but I'll tell you what, you give me a lot of really good topics because, hey, everyone goes like this. Seals, we're better than it. Wasn't looking at wins. I'm looking at, do you have the advantage of going into these games? If coaching matters a ton last year for the Eagles, it's got to matter now. Okay, it's got to matter too going into these games. Great stuff as always, Zander. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Big Seals. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody in the chat. You guys are the best. I appreciate you guys more than you will know. So thanks. Thank you. And thank you, Big Seals. Appreciate it, brother.
You got it. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.